Good morning, Mike Bowden, Operations Section Chief with Eastern Area Team 1 with your operational briefing for the Willamette Complex South for Saturday, August 31st. Yesterday we had a very productive day in terms of our work on the fires. Activity picked up in the morning right out of the gate due to a thermal belt that has been sitting over top of the fire. Thermal belt basically what it does is it keeps the air warm and dry, and so the fire continues to stay active all night long. So first thing out of the gate yesterday morning, we had some activity on the Moss Mountain fire where we had to bring in some helicopters and check that up right away. But throughout the rest of the day, it was a good productive day. So we'll kind of go over to the map and kind of walk through what happened and what we have planned for today. So up here on the chalk fire in what we call branch 8, we have 3 different divisions: Tango Tango, Kilo Kilo, and Alpha Alpha. These are geographic breaks of the fire area. In Tango Tango, we're going to continue to patrol and mop up along the direct edge of that fire. There's an area here in this circle that has not burned, and there's a lot of heat around it. And the concern is if it does start to pick up some activity, it could throw a spot outside of that line. So we're keeping really good eyes on that. If activity does pick up, we will launch aircraft and use helicopters to knock that down. Additionally, there's an indirect line that is on what is called the 1824 road. It was what we call a shaded fuel break, where they went in previous years and thinned out the trees and opened up that space so it becomes a defensible place to fight fire. We're just freshening that up, removing the material that has fallen over the past couple years since that thing was constructed, and getting that ready in case we did need to use it. In Alpha Alpha, the southern half of the chalk fire, we continue to mop up and patrol and kind of finishing removing some of the material that was generated as we improved our lines and constructed some of our indirect lines. And they're also doing some road improvement in terms of some grading in that. Kilo Kilo, which is the eastern part of the chalk fire, looks in really good shape. Very little heat left out there. It's kind of in just a monitoring and patrol status, and doing some light work on the roads and getting those back into shape. All right, moving down, back up here, the McKinley Creek fire, the Tire Mountain fire, both of those were checked yesterday, and they look really good, and there was no heat found. Moving down into branch 12, Division Romeo Romeo, which is the north end of the coffee pot fire. Continued patrolling that. We're going to continue that operation today. There continues to be some heat. We had an infrared flight last night that scans the fire and identifies where there's hot spots. There's several hot spots along this edge of Romeo Romeo and then down into this area into Papa Papa that have been identified. We're going to, if we can get safely to those, we'll get into those and extinguish those. If we can't get in there safely, we'll continue to monitor those and then utilize aircraft to suppress those if needed. In Division Papa Papa, down here below the coffee pot fire, south of the coffee pot fire, we have a network of some indirect lines that we're continuing to finish up and remove all the material that was produced as part of that construction. That material is being trucked down here to a couple different staging areas and stored for future use. Over here towards the Moss Mountain fire, we've got 2 different divisions that are associated with that. Division Whiskey Whiskey and Division Sierra Sierra. Whiskey Whiskey is working along this road, continuing to improve that as an indirect line if needed. And then they're in Sierra, they're working along the southern half of Moss Mountain, a road network here, doing the same thing. Both those divisions have additional resources that are working very close to the Moss Mountain fire itself. This western edge of the Moss Mountain is down in a drainage, and there's a old, very, very rough road in that bottom that the fire is backing down towards. Been utilizing aviation assets, had large helicopters, we call them Type 1 helicopters, dropping water in that area all day yesterday to keep that from developing and starting to torch and cause problems. Up here on the eastern side, have another area of concern, and same actions were taking place. Moving into our contingency group, which basically is dealing with the very southern area, as well as the 208 fire, which is in the Diamond Peak Wilderness. They're going to continue prepping a road in terms of removing material, opening it up to make it a defensible place to fight fire, and tying it into a road that has already been improved as part of the Red incident over on the Deschutes National Forest. The 208 fire woke up a little bit yesterday. It grew overnight around 5 acres due to that continued warm, dry weather. That's the other thing this group is going to do, is make sure they monitor that and see if it decides it wants to start to move around, and if so, we'll take appropriate action. So that's your operational briefing for the Willamette Complex South Zone for Saturday, August 31st. Thanks, and have a good day.